Hey, Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today I've got another great episode for you. I'm going to go over just a couple of instances of these, perpetual moon boys who are just misleading you. I mean, the things that they say, oftentimes are just blatant scams, but other times, it seems innocuous, even perhaps beneficial for you to believe in the rhetoric that they're putting before you, but it ends up being just as scammy and potentially just as damaging to your portfolio as if they were one of those scammers being paid by all these Ponzi scheme projects in order to perhaps put money in their own pocket. I would never accuse them of that, but hey, they sure do talk that way. Okay, and so let's just go over this new narrative. Because, guys, did you hear? Bitcoin has decoupled from the stock market. Wow, that means that if the stock market continues to go down, Bitcoin can go to the moon, guys. We're going to the moon. Guys, get your helmet on, put those spacesuits on, get in the rocket ship because we're going to the moon. Bitcoin has decoupled from the stock market and we are going to outer space, okay? That's what these influencers want you to believe on Twitter and on crypto YouTube. These guys who sometimes seem like your friend, but in fact, they're kind of working against you because they're not giving you the full facts, okay? And let's just take a look at this. Here's our friend George. You are George. George is George. George's dog is George. The giraffe at the local zoo is George. Putin is George, and of course, my grandmother is George. Everyone is George. How can we not be George? George doesn't have a cult at all. There's no Kool-Aid that George is passing around. When it comes time to buy at the top, we are all George. And when we hold on to our assets for, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 2 years because we bought at the top, always remember you're George and you can be proud of that. Oh, I'm sorry. That sounds terrible. Yeah, how do I get out of this religion? Okay. I did not want to be part of a cult, okay, when I signed up for crypto. I wanted to make money. And so I don't need somebody coming at me like preaching, sermons every day, getting inside my head, manipulating me to believe in some, Bible according to George, okay? Like this doesn't matter, my belief in these assets doesn't matter. I only need to see what are their use cases, what are their tokenomics, how are their socials, and then what's their market cap. The different things like this, have they been through a bear market before? And then, of course, what's the capability of me making money on these things while trading, as opposed to holding them like some type of collection of beanie babies or trophies that I would put on my shelf and just admire that I have all of this Luna in my ledger. And it's so cool that I collected all of them, little Pokemon cryptos. I don't need any of that, okay? I just need good advice. And what we have here is very bad advice from George, where he's saying that, Bitcoin is holding despite the S&P 500 dump. Again, guys, like some of these statements seem innocuous. They seem like they might be directed to help you, but you have to understand how these guys are getting paid. They don't make a big deal about it. It's kind of, on the sly. Of course, it's in your face because they're asking you to sign up on their links. There's nothing wrong with making money, doing what you love, and I know these guys love what they're doing. But the thing is, they have to come to terms with the fact that they are oftentimes brainwashing you into believing little things that will make you more bullish in order for you to use their links more often. And that's the unethical part. And the manipulation here is that, oh, Bitcoin is decoupling from the S&P 500. Everyone is saying the stock market is going to continue to crash. But because Bitcoin is decoupled from the stock market, according to George, probably Bitcoin's going to hold, right? Bitcoin, George mentioned that Bitcoin is probably at its lowest level. It's not likely to go lower. He does believe that this is the bottom. That's what he says, right? He believes that this is the bottom. He said it in this video. And this decoupling, is the proof of it. He doesn't say it's the proof, but it's implied that this decoupling is the proof of it. Oh, okay. One asset didn't move perfectly in lockstep with the stock market for half a day. And that's proof of all of this. Okay, George. Yeah, let me just sign up for those links, right? You got any of those referral codes for me? Hey, guys, watch out for these shysters. I mean, they seem like your friend, but in reality, they're just trying to get your money, and be very, very careful of them, okay? They get inside of your head. Now, just think about what is a stock market, okay? It contains maybe hundreds or thousands of assets, right? There's an index that has an average. And so you can say the S&P 500, or my preference, the NAS 100, moves in a specific kind of way every day, based upon its average. But what does that mean? It means some of those assets on the index are up, some of them are down, some of them may be way off. It doesn't matter. That doesn't mean they've decoupled. The correlation between the assets on that index, right, is still extremely high, even if there's half a day that they didn't go, perfectly in lockstep. Okay, that's why they call it an average. And so when the stock market, had a dip, yesterday, and Bitcoin didn't have a, terrifying dip, everyone said, "Oh, it's decoupling. This is evidence of its decoupling. We're gonna go to the moon. I knew it was decoupling. Guys, sign up for all my referral codes. Guys, buy a ledger using the link below. Guys, please buy something. Buy crypto. Buy Bitcoin. We're at the bottom. Let's go to the moon together, guys." But that is just pathetic. It's just pathetic and desperation, and it's highly manipulative, and it's a lie. Okay? And it's coming from some people that I really wouldn't have expected it to. I know George is the resident cult leader in the world of crypto, but here we have Jason Pizzeria. And Jason, of course, he is known to be one of those guys who is a little bit more of those logical thinkers, a little bit more calm. But even he is pushing this lie that somehow Bitcoin has decoupled from the stock market. And it's the implication, it's the implied, implying it, which is the manipulation. Because if you believe that these assets are decoupled from the stock market, then no matter what you hear, coming out of the financial industry, then you can believe, oh, Bitcoin might still go to the moon, so I'm okay with buying things off of this guy's site. I'm okay for registering for his courses. I'm okay to use his referral links. Okay, and they keep this attitude up a little bit higher than it should be, and they don't give the proper warnings. What's Jason saying here? Better strength than those tech stocks. So this is a good sign, right? Like we're going to go to the moon, guys. It's just implied, and he doesn't give the other side, right? Which is not good, right? It's unethical. He doesn't give the other side or the counter narrative. In fact, he brings up Tesla as saying, "Oh, because Tesla dropped, on Friday or whatever it was, Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, because Tesla dropped, but Bitcoin didn't." That implies the decoupling, right? So let's go to the moon, right? Use my referral codes. Hey, Jason Pizzeria man, like, look, Tesla, right? Tesla from its top is down, let's see, at its max, it was down 49%. Okay, roughly 50%. Okay, how much is Bitcoin down? Oh, at its max, it was down 63%, and it's still down 57%, so 10% more than Tesla. And by the way, guys, okay, Tesla is also one of those kind of tech meme stocks. What do I mean by that? It's just trading on future prices, right? Probably should put this where you can see it when I'm using the measurement tool. But again, like Bitcoin, 63% down, and it bounced a little bit, so we're still 57% down. And then Tesla, of course, was only 49% down, and is only roughly about 45% down. So, 45% versus, 60. I mean, guys, like, which one is the stronger asset? Okay. Tesla is looking stronger than Bitcoin right now. And this guy, Jason, is saying that Bitcoin has better strength than those tech stocks. No, no, it doesn't. Bitcoin is much weaker than those tech stocks. Much weaker. You know why Tesla dropped? Because, you know, uh, Elon Musk had sexual harassment scandals, right? Where he whipped out his ding dong, in front of a woman and then had Tesla pay it off. Okay? Pay it off so that it wouldn't be disclosed to the public. Okay, that was what he was doing. He was playing helicopter in front of a girl and had his company, pay for it. Okay, that's why Tesla stock was dropping. All right, you know why Tesla stock was dropping? Because their cars are like getting into accidents, and the autopilot modes, or whatever, they don't work. It's future technology, okay? Similar to Bitcoin, it's future technology. That's why I'd say it's a meme stock, okay? It's a concept of future promises. It's not an actual deliverable right now. They sell and sell and sell future promises, and Elon does this over and over again. He sells, we're going to make colonies on the moon one day. We're going to bore tunnels from one side of the country to the other side of the country, and you can just get into this tunnel and you'll be shot at, lightning speed to the other side one day. Oh, we're gonna have self-driving cars one day. Right? I mean, that's what he's an expert at. He's an expert at getting those government subsidies for those big, pie in the sky projects, at which, by the way, he does add tremendous value to, credit where credit is due. But I'm just saying that in a world where everything is tightening, right? We're more focused on today. We're not focused on, 20 years from now, okay? Like we're focused on today. And people are just asking, well, what can Tesla deliver right now? And right now, it's delivering, accidents, right? And, they're being asked not to charge their car in the middle of the day in Texas because of energy, usage, different things like this. So, that's why Tesla had a dip. Why did Bitcoin have a dip, right? That was more serious prior to that? Because of the Luna things, right? Like stuff got crazy in crypto. So basically, the Bitcoin chart had a major shock a little bit before Tesla had its major shock. Why did the stock market in general, like all the indices, go down, between those two dates? Right? Between Bitcoin's main thrust down and Tesla's main thrust down, well, because we saw Walmart and we saw Target taking an incredible hit, right? We saw that, wow, the retail consumer, this really like today issue, not tomorrow issue, like Bitcoin and Tesla, tomorrow issues, like these today issues are really on the table as in danger. And so, of course, we're going to see different sectors and different assets like dropping and having little bounces at different times. Guys, that doesn't mean that these things are decoupled. And if you're hearing these crazy Twitter people and these, highly manipulative, YouTubers and influencers who are just constantly, shilling the religion or shilling their programs without giving you both sides of the story, without really explaining it, okay? Just giving you a narrative, then, you know, just take that stuff with a grain of salt because they're going to get you wrecked. If you guys, if somebody new out there really believed that Bitcoin was decoupled from the stock market, and George was saying that this was the bottom, and Jason, pizzeria over here, uh, Pizzino. If Jason Pizzino was saying that, Bitcoin is holding better than the tech sector, which is a direct lie. It is a direct lie. That's only one data point for half a day. Okay. And that sector reclaimed support, and Bitcoin just kept support. So literally, they didn't do anything different, right? If stocks reclaimed support, even if they had like an intraday dip, then and Bitcoin is at support, then literally they did not decouple. They're both at support. You see, like that's not a decoupling. These guys are lying to you so that you can get into these assets, and either they can dump on you or they can get referral code usage, right? Increased and program signups and things like that. It's just an old game, and there are much, nicer faces these days than the old days of the scammers. They're very, happy and intelligent people, but but just to be careful, okay, guys, just to be careful. You're being manipulated. What these guys are saying is not true. There is no decoupling. If anything, Bitcoin is more highly correlated to the stock market than it has ever been in the history of crypto. And that is the fact. Okay? That is the fact. So when we see that the stock market is in danger, crypto is in fact in danger. And don't let those cult leaders and don't let those salesmen mislead you. Protect your assets. Don't get wrecked by the shills and the unethical influencers, no matter how sweet their faces look, no matter how gentle their voices are, no matter how calming and, prepared they seem to be. If they're not giving you the real truth, or if they're not presenting both sides and walking you through it, then they are actually just manipulating you, brainwashing you, trying to bring you into a cult, or just trying to push sales. And there's no way around that. Okay? There's no way around that. That is the honest truth. Let's look at this NAS 100 to see what kind of happened here, right? Oh no, we had a dip down here. Oh gosh, look at that look at that tiny dip under support. Oh wait, we're back up above that support. So we're here, like we're above the previous dip, over here. Right? This was the big dip, and then oh no, we had a scary day, and then, we're back above that previous support. Let's go look at Bitcoin. Here was the big dip. And then if it had been one-to-one perfect every single lockstep, then perhaps Bitcoin would have had like a dip down here, and then it would be back here. But Bitcoin is simply back here. So how is this decoupled? Here's the dip, and then look at this diagonal up, and it's right here. Let's go to stocks. Here's the dip, and the diagonal up, and we're right there. Bitcoin is still in nearly perfect correlation with the moves of the stock market. It's just that it didn't go through the trauma of Tesla's scandal, okay? Of Elon Musk's scandal, right? That sexual harassment thing, okay? Uh, it didn't go through the trauma of Walmart. Why would Bitcoin like move on Walmart's news, okay? Like, eh, I understand like it can cause weakness in the chart, and we didn't see any buyers come in to rescue Bitcoin. So obviously there was weakness in Bitcoin's chart. Everything was set up for a possible bullish pump on Friday on Bitcoin's chart, but there was severe weakness, and that was that tech sector pushing Bitcoin down. That was the retail, consumer, problems with like a Walmart and Target pushing Bitcoin down. And so that lack of confidence in the market is suppressing Bitcoin. And so there is no decoupling. I'm trying to be very fair here, and I'm trying to help you see how these other guys can manipulate you by just ignoring some facts. Okay, so let's see. You did see Apple taking a big hit, but guys, what is the difference between Apple and Bitcoin? Just ask yourselves, like, how come like one stock can be up, one stock can be down? They're not all going to be the exact average, right? It makes no sense to think that they're all going to be the exact same price. That's stupid. Why would we even have a stock market if that was the case? They're all going to be a little bit different. That doesn't mean that they're not correlated, right? That doesn't mean that the market at the whole isn't experiencing something. It just means that this day this thing is up, this thing is down, and then, in general they still flow together, right? Well, of course, Apple is having huge problems with the supply chain um, blockages in China because China keeps, shutting down everything. They keep the shutdowns going, and Apple is very much struggling with these supply chain issues. And then it's also being hit by the same things that are hitting Walmart and Target, which is that people just can't afford to be buying more iPads, right? And this is going to come back for Bitcoin as well. It's just not as direct. It's going to circle back. These different sectors, these different companies get hit on different rotations as people move their money through the market. But it's going to come back to Bitcoin as well because nobody's having money to go and buy Doge and Bitcoin and ETH and all of that stuff. The same way they don't have money to come in and buy iPads. The only difference is that, this week we understood that there was going to be a huge hit to Apple's bottom line because of supply chain issues, and that's simply not happening in Bitcoin. In fact, we got a little bit of good news that China, the Chinese court determined that Bitcoin, is a, asset that, can be allowable in China. Like the court ruled against the government basically, and is, a little bit more open-minded to Bitcoin. It doesn't mean that, we couldn't see like crackdowns again in China on cryptocurrency. It just means that the government is relaxing some of its policies on tech because their economy is hurting so bad. They know that they need to stop suppressing everything because the world economy is starting to spin out of control. And even the Chinese government realizes it has to start relaxing a little bit. So we'll see where this stuff goes. But again, guys, don't get manipulated into moonshots and things like that. We've got a lot of hardship in the market, and let's see how much Apple has come down. 27%. Okay, 27%. Right? What was Bitcoin? 60%, something like that, right? Oh, Bitcoin's showing better strength than those tech stocks. This is a good sign. No, no. Bitcoin is twice as far down as those tech stocks. And if these stocks continue to take hits, it is going to drag Bitcoin down with it. Okay. So take care of that. And then we also have these other narratives out there. I'm just going to do one more example. Where we have, like these guys, right? Like these guys just constantly saying stuff like this. Oh, Bitcoin in the next, like they find one pattern on a chart and then they just push it out there. And then that becomes this narrative where everyone just, grabs that pattern and they say, guys, like we're going to go to the moon because, look, during the COVID era, we had this dump, but in fact, it broke down in a certain way, and then for the next 6 months, we just pumped, right? Well, you have to understand that, at that time, of course, the Federal Reserve was just pumping in unlimited money into the stock market and into the economy as a whole. And so, of course, there could be a bounce there. But one pattern on the charts does not make a trend, right? Just because you see something playing out one time, and unless you understand the macroeconomics of it, unless you understand everything that surrounded, the events that led to the pump following that and why it collapsed in the first place, then you can't directly compare it to the current situation. And how easy, would it be just to make a counterexample? Well, I did. Okay. So, this is the scam, right? This is the scam. And then, let me just set this aside. And then here's my counter argument, okay? Well, look, in 2018, we had this exact same pattern where we had a peak, and then, we had a trend, and then we broke trend, and the breakout came up, and then it smashed it down. And whereas for 2020, that was the bottom of the market. In 2018, it just ended up being the first drop down before a couple more series of very severe drops that led to another 40 to 50% drop in price. And so, if these kind of like scammers and perpetual moonboys on crypto Twitter are just spamming you with these kind of, uh, kind of just dreams, okay? Like dreams about what could be possible. Just understand that they're trying to get follows, they're trying to get likes, okay? They're going to be manipulating you, and you have to really question what you're seeing. Just because somebody's showing you one example of something, I mean, unless they can show you 3 examples, it's not a trend, okay, guys? Like, one time is literally nothing. 2 times would be a coincidence. Unless you have 3 times, you don't even have the beginning of a trend, okay? Like a trend doesn't even begin until you have 3 instances. And so anyone just cherry picking individual patterns, it's not sufficient. They need way more than that to get, to go along with it. And so this is just garbage. Don't follow guys like these. They might have good ideas, but just to be very careful and understand you are being manipulated for follows. And there's another thing that is going on out there, another meme that's out there about this market, which is that we've hit the bottom because our RSI is at a certain level. So if we go over to the Brave New Coin liquid index, this thing only works on the daily, but it has pretty much the longest history, right? The longest history of Bitcoin. So we can go ahead and put it on the weekly or something. And then let's go ahead and look at our RSI. So in the case of the RSI, these guys are trying to say that, let's see, maybe we can look at the monthly. Yeah, the monthly is what we were looking at. So these guys are saying like, well, look at where we are. Like the RSI is so low, like we must be at the bottom because, we have these two cases here. And I'm going to say, okay, great. Like two cases, like that's a nice coincidence, right? That's a nice coincidence. And hey, maybe it is the bottom, right? Maybe that is the bottom. Like we're very close there. And if we start rounding, you know, then I could agree, like, hey, 1, 2, 3, wow, that's an amazing trend. Like, if we get a lift off of this line. But guys, just because we're in this area, it doesn't mean we're at the bottom, okay? Just because we're underneath a certain level, it doesn't mean that we're at the bottom. We can go lower. In these other two cases, Fed money, the free money, the money machine, came in and started printing money to rescue everything, right? The everything bubble, right? Like everything got into a bubble from that Fed spending, right? Here, everywhere, right? Like that Fed money just came in. This is going to be the first time ever that there's no Fed money coming in to rescue the markets. And so potentially we could see lower than this line. And so here's my thing, okay? By the way, like this concept was also on that guy's chart. So here's the thing, like if you start seeing the rounding out of the RSI on the monthly and a nice bounce, then maybe this is happening, okay? See the rounding and then the bounce, right? This thing kind of rounded and then add like a nice vertical bounce, right? Rounded, nice vertical bounce. We just have straight down right now. We don't have any rounding and we don't have any bounce. This thing is just straight down as is, okay? So let's just take this level with a grain of salt. Yes, we are in those super juicy levels, which have been the greatest buying opportunities of your life, in the past. But here's the problem. We're in a speeding car headed towards a brick wall, and we don't have any brakes. Okay? We don't know if we're going to smash through this wall and keep going. So you need to look for some signs. If you're following this meme that's on crypto Twitter right now about the RSI, you have to look at the real details. You can't just look at the level because again, if you don't understand the macroeconomics that the Federal Reserve came in and printed trillions of dollars to rescue the markets whenever the stock market and, all these asset markets were suffering, then you have to understand like we're not going to have that this time and something else could happen. And so what's going to be your actual confirmation, right? That's just the indication, the rounding and then the vertical bounce, two positive indications which we don't have either of them yet. And the third factor for your confirmation is going to be whether or not this actually crosses the EMA on the RSI. And if you can get that, again, we're on the monthly Bitcoin chart, right? The monthly RSI, then you could perhaps have absolute confirmation that we're in a bull trend and it could continue for quite some time, right? Like it doesn't matter if you don't grab the absolute bottom. If you just want to wait for confirmation, you're still going to have a nice a nice bull market. Okay, like guys, you don't have to feel pressured by these kind of idiots on YouTube and on crypto Twitter. Okay, so let me just mark off where these things actually had crosses, on the RSI, and we can see that that corresponded with, oh, look at this. Yeah, you didn't grab the absolute bottom, but if you got in on the confirmation, you had, oh, a 20,000% increase to the top. If you got in on the confirmation, not the absolute bottom, the confirmation, you got a 6,900% increase. Got in at the confirmation, not at the absolute bottom. You had a 1,500% increase on your investments. Okay, like you do not need to be rushed by the morons and the shills and the grifters and the con men and the Ponzi scheme cult leaders out there on crypto YouTube and on Twitter. Guys, even if you wait for confirmation, you are going to be so set in this market, but at least you will have preserved your money for the meantime, okay? And you're also much closer to the run if you wait for confirmation. In other words, you can start seeing returns sooner. So you guys can literally just be in USDT or in cash and chilling out until you see that rounding and a bounce, and then you want to start getting into your, you want to understand what your position is going to be at least. And if you even just wanted to wait, and you could start DCAing in there. If you even just wanted to wait until you had the crossing, you would be in such a strong place relative to all these historical movements, and you would have strong confirmation so that the conviction that you can have in your position was, is nearly absolute. It doesn't mean that there can't be some pullbacks in the market, but hey, that was a good run, right? Let me show you, right? Here, from here to here, that was 230%, okay? And then, yeah, the market did a pullback, but you would have known to sell up here, so okay, you doubled your money, great. And then, you have a pullback or something, some kind of trauma in the market, and then another 1,000% increase. Hey, like who's gonna complain about that? Okay, like who's gonna complain about that? And you didn't catch the bottom, but you did extremely well if you followed this principle that I'm teaching you, as opposed to the meme that you should just buy in because we're at a certain level. Okay, that doesn't make sense. That's not a strategy. Like we can continue to go lower, or this thing could just like hang out here, right? This thing could just hang out under here for years. Like it literally doesn't have to come back up. But if you wait until they cross bullishly, then you know that the time that you deploy your money, like you're going to be in an excellent spot because you waited for confirmation as opposed to just, you know, putting all your money into the market when there could be a global recession, when there could be a Great Depression, when there could be an economic collapse. Nobody knows what could happen. There could be a world war where you need that money for food. Ukraine was pretty much a first world country. I mean, they were a second world country, technically, but they were rapidly becoming a first world, like, fully modern European country. And then overnight, the bombs fell and they were back to third world conditions. Okay, that can happen anywhere. Okay, you don't know who these madmen are in the world. You do not need to be deploying all your resources before you have confirmation, or at least when you have, one or two very strong signs, depending upon your risk tolerance. And right now, we're just free falling. Okay, so the meme that's going around about the monthly RSI zone, again, like these guys are manipulating you. They're not giving you the full picture. They're not giving you the full instructions, right? It might not take this long, right? It might not take this long. I'm just saying that it could, okay? It could. And, wouldn't you rather like hold on to your money and not lose money in the meantime? It's up to you. It's up to your risk. It's up to your risk tolerance. Maybe it just ends up being something like this, really quick, right? And it goes maybe a little bit lower, or maybe it rounds up right now. Who knows? But at least you got in with some type of strategy as opposed to blindly just following these, these gurus and these, manipulators on crypto Twitter and these, kind of cult-like, you know, these stupid armies, right? Oh, the Corrado army, the Cadena army, the blah 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 army, the Ada army. Yeah, you guys, you guys are grown men. Like, grow up, right? Okay, yeah, maybe those maybe those assets that do have these armies do tend to be stronger because they have loyal followings, and so maybe they are good candidates to consider as part of your portfolio when you do end up buying in. But don't get brainwashed by them. Like, don't believe that stuff. That's marketing, okay? Those guys are dumping on your head, okay? Those guys are not those guys are not stupid, okay? They are intentionally trying to lead and mislead dumb money so that they can dump on their heads at some point. And I think if you talk to them about it, they'll be honest with you because they'll be like, "Ah, this guy knows what's up." Right? Like if you talk to them in private. But on Twitter and on YouTube and on all these other weird, you know, um, communications that go out there from these, these coin armies, it's just pure manipulation. So, okay, guys, I know that was a bit more of a warning for the new people out there or those who haven't gone through a full cycle before, but just wanted to, put some of these concepts on the table in order to hopefully help others not get manipulated and not get wrecked by the strong manipulation that is we're going to continue to see in this market. I don't personally use the monthly RSI. That's just the meme that's going around right now. I do tend to use the weekly RSI, and again, we're like in those nice areas even with my method. But look how far away we are from the EMA, and look how just like vertically we're just dropping. We haven't even begun to like make little edges on it yet, right? So let's get a little bit of choppiness in the RSI. Let's start getting a little bit of rounding, whether you're going to use the monthly or the weekly. And then when we start to see that pull up, it's usually not the first one. It's often not the second one. Sometimes it is, right? But, you know, let's see. Yeah, one, two, right? This was the second one. Like one, two, right? This was the second one where it bounced back up. So usually the first one is never it. And then the second one, you gotta have your game plan in order. And if it just rounds out and there's a third one, then you're getting pretty close. So it might start rounding up. And then if it crosses the EMA here, then of course that's the signal. That's the real signal that you're looking for. That hey, we might be in a good spot. And there are little fake outs on the weekly, right? But it does give you a very good idea. And I think that's why some people use the monthly. It's just a little bit more reliable for those really macro ones. But you also have a little bit slower response. So, guys, that was your alpha for the day. Stay safe and happy trading.